Can you start by saying your name, please?
Did you say your name?
Yeah, your name.
Yeah. Eleanor Dove.
And what's your name in Narragansett? Your native name.
Oh, people call me Pretty Flower,
Okay, can you tell me
but
what...
I thought when they named me they said Picking Flower, but everybody always said Pretty Flower.
uh, can you tell me what your childhood was like?
What's what?
Your childhood.
Well, I had two brothers and two sisters. We lived in Charlestown for quite a number of years, and then we moved to East Providence, where I went to school. And when we lived in Charlestown, my parents were the caretakers for Senator Green's lodge, and we had a house right beside his lodge in Charlestown. Uh, we had a kitchen and living room, two bedrooms, and at first we had outdoor toilet, but then we could do it inside toilet. uh, the lodge was quite a big building. Senator Green used to be there often, and Judge Lyman. I did the cooking, and of course kept the lodge clean. And then when they came down, I cooked for them.
um, what was your school like? What was school like?
What was school
Mm-hmm.
like? Oh, I enjoyed school. I went to school when I lived in East Providence, and I enjoyed school very much. The first school, if I can remember can't can't remember the name, but anyway, it was just a two-room schoolhouse, and I liked school fine.
What kind of foods did your family eat?
Kind of what?
Foods did you
Oh,
eat?
all kinds of good food. uh, we had Johnny cakes quite often, and we had baked beans every Saturday, which I was not that wild about. And Sunday was more like usually a roast, like a ham or leg of lamb or something like that.
What was your favorite?
I like lamb better than ham.
um, what kind of cars did you drive? What did your family drive?
Well, I can't remember what kind of car my father had, but he did have a car. When I was first married, we had I think they call it a Model A Ford. I remember driving, and we got stopped. At that time, I had one. That was when I was married that we got stopped, and I had to accuse my husband of driving too fast,
Mm-hmm.
and I said no, he wasn't driving too fast. So then he said he thought he had gone over the speed limit,
Mm-hmm.
and I argued and said no, he did not. So then he said, well, he said, I said, then the speedometer must be wrong on the car. And so then he said, well, let me get in, and he said, you get out and take your baby with you, and I'll see if there's something wrong with your speedometer. So I said, well, if you think I'm going to sit out here on the side of this road with this baby in my arms, you must be crazy. So he looked in at my husband and he says, "Go ahead, Mac." He said, "You got enough trouble on your hands." Because I was not getting out of that car. That's all there was to it.
um, did you face any racism growing up?
Did you?
Did you face any racism growing up?
No.
Not that you can think of. Oops. Did you take any trips?
Well, I went to Germany to see my first grandchild, Mark, and I went to Russia with the Pequots. They invited me to go, and I did go to Russia with them.
Would you go
I've
there for?
been on quite a few trips. Been to Hawaii. I've been to Alaska. I like traveling.
What's your favorite place that you've been?
I'd like to visit Alaska again.
What do you like about Alaska?
Well, I just thought it was beautiful and serene and quiet, and I liked it.
What was your grandmother like?
My mother's mother was a milliner, and she made hats for usually very wealthy people in Providence, and she made hats, and that's who she would make them for, and she became quite famous as a milliner.
And your grandfather?
My grandfather Spears on my father's side owned and ran a restaurant on the corner of Public and Eddy Streets in Providence, and for quite a long time. And the thing that I liked the best about it was I didn't have to, but I liked it, and I did it, and he let me stack the coins to go in the paper wrappers, the nickels, dimes, and so forth. And that was one of the things I liked doing with him.
What was your mother like?
My mother was a very serene person, quiet, on the quiet side. Just a lovely lady, and she, made sure that we went to Sunday school. We went to the nearest, in East Providence, the Haven Methodist Church, because that was the nearest church for us, the kids to go to, so that's where we went. And she was just a good woman.
What's your favorite memory with your mother?
I think going downtown Providence with her, like we'd go to the Shepherd's store and things like that.
And can you tell me about your father?
My father,
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was a handsome man, and a good man. His name was Joseph, and everybody called him Joe Spears. And I think I had a pretty good life myself as a child, and I'm not complaining about my adulthood either.
What would you say is your favorite memory with your father again?
My favorite memory of my father. Well, I was trying to think of what the horn was he blew. He played an instrument, and I used to like to hear him. Sometimes he'd be out by the kitchen stove, which was a black range, and then one foot would be up on the stove where it was nice and warm, and he would blow that. I think it was a saxophone, And but he played very well, and I enjoyed listening to him.
Um, so you ended up getting married, and I was wondering, one, how did you meet the man who you ended up marrying? How did you meet your husband?
Oh, well, my Aunt Mary, who was just 3 years older than myself, and my cousin Doris Spears, we went to the dance in the Infantry Hall in Providence, and we got there kind of, the place was kind of really filled. We were about the last ones getting there, but we got there and we stood in the doorway, and I looked down there because my cousin Doris said these 3 guys from the country, which is South County, would be there. So the 3 of us came and we stood in the doorway and we looked down the end of the hall, and there were these fellows that I had never seen in Providence. And it was Milton Perry, Ferris Dove, and I think his name was Harry Peckham. Anyhow, his last name was Peckham. And we looked down there and I said, I'll take the tall one. And that was it.
So how old were you?
I was 18.
Wow.
I got married when I was 20.
How did you end up getting married?
Well, he asked me to marry him.
How?
Well, he just asked me, and I said yes. And then the only thing is, his mother asked if I wouldn't mind being married in the Indian church, which was in South County, and I lived in East Providence. So I said, no, if it make you happy, I'll be happy to be married in the Indian church. So I was married in an Indian church in Charlestown on September 12th, 1938.
What was your wedding like?
Hmm?
What was your wedding like?
What was it like? Well, we were just, I wore a suit. I didn't wear a wedding dress. I wore a suit. And it was kind of dressy with a frilly thing on the front of and that was it. We were married there, September 12th, 1938.